Hello, good morning. It's already morning here in the UK. I'm sorry for the breaking transmission before now. I think the battery of my other phone actually just ran out, unfortunately. So I'm going to do the part two. I'm going to make this broadcast the part two of the previous broadcast. So obviously, what I was talking about, that when a person shows you who they are, believe them. Stop making excuses for people who have the tendency of hurting you, who are actually hurting you. Stop making excuses on their behalf. When a person shows you who they are, believe them. Because if you keep making excuses on behalf of people who continuously hurt you, it's even possible that you're actually, kind of sending the wrong message to that person. You're not helping that person to change. A lot of times, some people may not even know that what they are doing to you is wrong, but because you've accepted it, because you've accommodated it, they might think that it's the norm, it's the normal thing. So, and then it now becomes obviously normal, to the extent that even when after a long time, when you now start complaining, you see the person will start resisting you, and it will now become a problem. And then obviously you now become so extremely unhappy in the relationship, and the relationship will still finally break. But even a lot of people have ended up in psychiatric hospitals. A lot of people have ended up dead because of their silence. So even if they end up dead, what it means is that the perpetrator of that abuse or the cruelty, they end up obviously making that person end up in prison. Something that ordinarily they would have actually avoided if from the inception they were able to say, no, this behavior is unacceptable. I'm not going to be part of it. I'm not going to, you need to seek help. You need to, if there's a problem, there are foundational issues, because you realize that sometimes a lot of these things that obviously this attitude that people put out when they're in relationships is as a result of this dysfunctional upbringing. Sometimes they have been abused themselves, or sometimes it may be a kind of maybe trauma that they went through. Maybe they saw their mom or their dad being abused or things like that. Maybe they were abandoned, or maybe they were rejected when they were being raised. And so that's pain, that hurt, that unforgiveness, that feeling of rejection may still be on the inside of them. So when they grow up, they start playing up, they start obviously acting up. And then their spouse will now be obviously the one who will end up suffering in their hands, directly or indirectly. A long time ago, a lady called me and she was telling me this story. She said to me, she's not sure what was going on then, that each time her husband would actually advise her son to beat her up, that the husband would actually call the teenage son, call him out of his room, put him in front of his mom and say, beat her up, slap her, box her, beat her. And the boy will obviously, because if the dad will actually say to him, if you don't do as I've told you, I'm going to give you a dirty beating. And this boy will be beating up his mom in the presence of the dad. So I knew exactly what was the problem the moment this woman told me what obviously. So I said to her, the problem actually is not with your son. The problem is a foundational problem that your husband encountered when he was raised. It's possible that obviously he was abandoned by his mom, or he was treated badly by his mom when he was growing up. So he actually now sees you as his mom. He sees himself in his son, that little young boy that was rejected and abandoned. So now he wants to, obviously, that revenge, that pain, that bitterness. So that's why he wants to now use his son to beat up his mom. That's you. So this woman was, obviously, she started screaming. She said, how did you know? Actually, that her husband's mom abandoned him when he was only 2 years old. And he was being taken from the house of one uncle to the house of another auntie, and from one family to the other. And that's how he kept on, being moved from one place to the other. So that pain was still on the inside of him. So I said to her, that's the more reason why you should forgive him. You need to help him, to support him. He needs to go and seek help. He needs therapy so he can heal. And the first major therapy is to be able to forgive his mom. To be able to go look for his mom wherever she is, or if, unfortunately, maybe if she has died, but to find it in his heart to forgive his mom and to release her and then forgive himself. So he needs that professional help to be able to heal from the inside. And then gradually, he will be able to now, obviously, because what he's doing now, he's trying to satisfy his own, that emptiness that has been in him from the age of 2 years. But the son is doing, beating up his own biological mother, is actually helping that boy to place a curse on himself. Thank you very much, Sandra. Thank you for watching. Thank you. I appreciate it. I apologize. My other phone, the battery actually just went down, so I had to I'm just doing this part now as a part 2 before, obviously, I run off for the night. So thank you. What was I saying? Yeah. So I said to her, you need to help this man. He needs help. Because a man cannot encourage the son to beat up his mother. That's an abomination. And the woman said to me, no, I'm not going to help him. What this man has done to me, what the pain, what my son has done. So I said, it's not the fault of your son. The father is saying to him, beat up your mom in his presence, beat her up, slap her, box her. And if you don't do it, I'm going to beat you. So what do you expect the young man to do? The father is using the pain of his upbringing, is rubbing it off on his son and his wife. So these are the foundational issues we're talking about. And this young woman said to me, they've lived together as a husband and wife for the past 4 years. They don't talk to each other, except maybe there's a misunderstanding. And when they start arguing, the man just goes to the boy's room, call out his son and say, beat her up, beat this woman up for me, beat her up. And you see this boy swelling and then hitting his mom, beating the mom up. So that's an abomination. So we're talking about dysfunctionalities in families. So what am I saying in essence? So rather than accept abuse from a man or from a woman, you can offer your help by directing the person to seek the professional help in order to be able to talk about these things. The very first point is to be able to forgive the offender. Whoever it is that may have perhaps rejected the person when they were growing up, abandoned. A lot of people have been abandoned by their fathers and they still have that thing on the inside of them. That's, why did he leave me? Why did he abandon my mom? A lot of them, maybe even their mothers were pregnant and the man just did a runner. So they're thinking, why did he reject me? Why is it that he doesn't love me? So that pain, that inner pain and feeling of rejection is there. And so they grow up with that feeling of rejection, that inner pain and hurt, and then they now take it into their relationships later in life. And it starts affair, and then you see them, they start playing up. They start acting up. So lots of these abusers that you see also, it's if you trace the foundation. If you trace the foundation, it's dysfunctionalities in families. A lot of them, they've been victims of abuse themselves. I'm not giving excuses for them. I'm just trying to say, because we cannot say we want a cure. We cannot say stop domestic violence, stop beating up women, stop abusing women. We must also go to the foundation. What is the cause? What is the cause? What makes people to begin to, you see a woman, you profess love to her, you tell her you love her, she's an angel, she's the best thing that happened to you in the whole wide world, and you take her and then you go to her parents, anything they ask you to do, you do it, you prostrate, you kneel down, they ask you to bring money, you pay the dowry, you do everything. And then the moment you take her on as your wife, and then she becomes your punching bag. So there's a problem. And it's foundational. It's foundational. A lot of times people are not able to talk about these things. They just bottle up the anger on the inside of them. So they bottle up that anger, and then when they get married, and then something happens, they are in their subconscious, they're remembering exactly the same abuse that either, so it could be abuse that they experienced other people, other close family members. For example, their moms, they abused, they saw, sometimes they watch when their mom was being abused. So that thing is in their subconscious. Or sometimes they abused also themselves, either by their dads or even their moms. So that's why I also say to parents, be careful the way you discipline your children. Don't use violence on your children. There are better ways you can discipline a child. To be quite honest, the best way to discipline a child is by setting boundaries and by loving that child. There is nothing love cannot change. If you love a child and the child understands that you love him or her, and then you start from an early age, you start teaching that child from an early age, as early as, to be quite honest, as early as, don't wait until maybe that child is 15 or 16 or 18 before you now start saying, go and make your bed, go and do this, go and, or whatever. No, start from a young age. Start teaching the child about discipline from 2 years of age. So you put those things in place. From that 2 years of age, there are boundaries set, and then you are loving that child, you are teaching that. Also teach by example. You cannot be a parent who lies compulsively and you want your child to be truthful. So the child is there watching you, and then the phone rings and you are saying to the child, tell my friend I'm not around, tell my friend I'm not around. But you are obviously, and then the next day you are saying to the child, always tell the truth. Don't tell lies. But it's like you're confusing the child, because yesterday you actually you lied. You told the child to say to the friends, I'm not around. So obviously in setting boundaries and disciplining the child, set good examples also. Set good examples. And you must have that understanding that for children, because the brain is still obviously developing, if you say one single thing for about like 10 times, so don't imagine that when you say, oh, shut that fridge after you, the child is going to come back in the next 10 minutes, open the fridge, and then leave it open and just walk upstairs. And you are wondering, but I just told you to shut the fridge after you. Because the child's brain is still developing. So that's why sometimes you hear people say, oh, wait, don't worry. Oh, this person is stubborn. When they start having children, they will cool down. Because being able to raise children successfully, it requires a lot of patience and understanding, and of course, love. Because when you love unconditionally, you're able to now kind of make adjustments to say, you see, this child is just the way the child, because the person is a child. This is a child. Imagine adults, even for us that are adults, how many times do we comply to things when we're told to do things? When we are told, don't park the car there, no parking. That's where you see, we'll drive our car, we'll go and park there. And we're waiting for who will come and challenge us. Just imagine even this face mask during this period of COVID-19. A lot of people, it's like they don't want to comply. So, but we are adults. So you see, humans by nature, it's difficult for us to be controlled. We always like doing things the other way. When they say do this, we want to go left. When they say go right, we want to go left. So imagine, so if that is the case with adults, not talking about children, we must deal with them with a little bit of patience, understanding, love, starting early enough. Start raising children with discipline early enough so that by the time they are 10, they've already mastered it. and then it will now become a part of that child's life. But if you leave the child to do as they please until when they are 15, you leave everything in the hands of the housemaid until when they are 20, you're not going to get anything from the child. Because then they already have a mind of their own. So when you say, oh, shut the fridge, they'll just do as they please. So this is where now you become very angry. You think the child is obviously getting out of hand, and then we now start using violence on the child. The greatest mistake any parent will make is to find yourself to be alive when a child stands back and talks back at you. Says to, I have handled a case where actually this young boy, a teenager, actually held his dad on the neck, squeezed the dad's shirt and said, you know what, I've had enough of your abuse, I've had enough of your insult, I've had enough of your verbal abuse and your physical abuse. Today, we have to show ourselves that we are men. He was ready to fight his dad. So what did the Bible say? That fathers, do not provoke your children to wrath. Do not provoke your children to wrath. So when you keep hitting that child, I'm not deviating. I'm sorry, I'm trying to make a point here because all of this, they are all encompassing. They're all encompassing. I'm going to the roots of where all these problems, all the problems we have in the world, the problems of abuse, the problems of wickedness, the problems of bitterness, the problems of envy, the problems of unhealthy rivalry. This is where all of this everything is coming from. When children begin to ask questions, why when they become adults, how come this person lived a better life more than me? And this is where envy starts coming. How come this person has a better upbringing more than me? So I'm going down back to the roots about our upbringing, how it affects us. So if we have the opportunity of raising a child, we got to be careful, because whatever it is we put in the life of that child today is going to be replicated later in another 20 years, another 25 years. May we not be the cause of the pain of any child that we've brought into this world. So it's very, very important. We must begin to teach children from a young age, begin to teach them love. There's a lot to teach a child. We have to teach them about love. We have to teach them about faith. We have to teach them about tolerance. We have to teach them about compassion. You realize that, for example, like that man that killed his boss, maybe nobody taught him about compassion. Nobody taught me about compassion. We need compassion is what we need these days a lot, to teach our children about compassion, because we've actually become very, very selfish and greedy and self-centered that we don't have compassion anymore. We need more compassion in our community. We need more compassion in our society. We need more compassion in the world. Compassion is lacking. It is a lack of compassion that causes children between the ages of 9 years and 17 years to actually take a knife, to take a gun, to stab their fellow friends, to gun down their mates. It is a lack of compassion. And you are thinking to yourself, who raised this child? I was listening to LBC, I think, was it 2 days ago? They were talking about this Ms. Begum, who obviously went to Syria to join ISIS killers or whatever. And there was this story, because obviously her solicitors are trying to make an application for her to come into the UK. So obviously she can appeal against her refusal, the revocation of her British passport. And so they were just arguing about, so, you know, a lot of people were saying, oh, she shouldn't be allowed into the UK because she did a lot of things and she didn't show any remorse. You see, so and at the age of, some people were like saying, oh, because she was 15, maybe she was brainwashed and all of that. So compassion. At the age of 15, if somebody comes to a child and they're trying to brainwash wash that child, a child who had that solid upbringing, a child who has been taught compassion about love, will say no. And the story goes that she was actually the one that she was assigned the role of actually sewing on the bomb onto the bodies of the suicide bombers at the age of 15. And one of the arguments, they were like saying, oh, she didn't show any remorse at all, so she could actually pose a risk or whatever. So compassion. If we're able to sow the seed of compassion into the hearts of our children, that's compassion. A lot of us, we don't have it. We don't have it. And we must actually begin to pray that God should give us the heart of compassion, to feel for people even as they're feeling, to cry for people when they're crying, to rejoice with people when they're rejoicing, to feel other people's pain. There are some people, when people are suffering, people are crying, so hey, ain't good for them. They rejoice over other people's pain. There are some people, they don't want to see other people smile. They don't even want to see other people look good. Especially in these days of social media, when they open up and they see that somebody is smiling, looking good, they're not happy. So compassion, we need a lot of compassion in our lives right now, because it's lacking. It's really going down, 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 down. This is not derogatory, but I think even dogs are behaving better than us. They are showing more compassion better than us, unfortunately. So we need to begin to, even in the churches, we need to begin to preach about compassion. Not this self-love that we are misinterpreting to mean selfishness. Because once we have compassion for our fellow humans, even when we are being abused by that person, we will help the person to say, you know what, you have a problem, or you need to seek help. Let me help you. Let me support you. You can even go online and actually check in the person, help the person, support the person to say, okay, you know what, you need help. Not just taking in the abuse and hiding and then coming up on Facebook and saying, oh, Oloworimi, the oil on my head, my husband, my best friend. Then they just, I've dealt with a case where a woman actually came to me this week to say, you know what, help me write a letter. I want to divorce my husband. Kate, I want to divorce my husband. I will divorce him. Write him a letter, warn him. So I said, no, that's not what you need to give me proper instructions. I don't use my office to intimidate people, to just write a letter and now start telling him how. I said, no, I'm not going to do that. Do you know, 2 days later, this woman was on Facebook and she would say, Oloworimi, she put up a photo of herself. They were wearing anko and she was praising the man. If I was to do it over and over again, you will be my husband, blah, blah, blah. I said, look at this woman. No. You see these people. So you see the deception has even increased with these days of social media. People are dying slowly. That's why you see somebody who has posted something, maybe a couple of days, the next week you hear that, oh, the woman has killed the man or the man has killed the woman. Very dangerous turn of events. So we need to address these issues. We need to address, we need to have the self-care that is making us bold enough to be able to say enough is enough. Don't give excuses on behalf of people. Don't be saying, oh, but the guy is nice, so he's really nice. It's only when he's drunk, he will not start beating me up. It's only when he's drunk, he will start misbehaving. Stop giving excuses for people when people are doing wrong that affects you. Stop giving excuses on their behalf. Address it. If it's a problem, address it. So when the guy is sober, you say to him, you know what? You need to go for detox. Because when you are drunk, you are not, you become a bad person. So you need to get off alcohol completely. Seek help or I'm done with you. So if truly he wants you to be in his life, he's going to seek help. And the same thing applies to people who gamble, gamblers. Because a gambler can come back home one day, sell off your home, sell off everything, use it to gamble, destroy the whole family, destroy the future of you and your children. So you give him a deadline. He needs to go to seek help to stop gambling. If he refuses to stop gambling, then you are gone with the children. If he's serious with his life, he will know that he needs you and the children in his life. He will go sort out himself about gambling. Stop saying, oh, the guy is nice. It's just the gambling. You know, sometimes he just comes and takes some money. Just goes to gamble. Sometimes he wins. Sometimes he loses all the money. One day he will sell, you know, one day you will just come and, you know, the buyers of the home will just come and say, sorry, just move your things. We are the new owners of the home. So stop giving excuses for people who pose a risk to your life, a risk to your finance, a risk to your health. What people don't realize is when you live in a relationship where you are not happy, as in like everyday trouble, everyday quarrel, everyday judgment, everyday tears, everyday sleepless nights, every day there's no peace. Gradually, it's affecting your health. Gradually, it's affecting your health, directly or indirectly. There's nothing like peace of mind. And there's nothing like our health. So you're in a relationship, you don't have peace of mind. There are some people, they're in a relationship, there's no peace of mind. Every day they are judging. They call Mr. A, they are judging. They call, anytime you pick up the phone, they are judging. Okay, how do you want to address this issue so that obviously you can get, because if there's a problem, you've been able to find out that there's a problem, find a solution. You cannot be in that problem for 2 years, for 3 years, for 4 years, for 5 years, for 7 years, for 10 years. It's affecting your health. You only have one life. Take care of your health. So that judging, your blood pressure is going up. It's affecting every part, all the chemicals in your body, everything is running wild. Your blood is affecting you. Your mental health is affecting you. Psychologically, it's affecting you. That's why a lot of women they've ended up in psychiatric hospitals. A lot of women have been diagnosed with cancer. So over the years, because of these problems of toxic relationships. So that is the self-care we're talking about. Take care of your health. Take care of yourself. That's not selfishness. So you know that somebody is causing you pain. Somebody is causing you hurt. Somebody is making you unhappy. You have, first of all, address it. Call it to their attention. So you see this thing you are doing to me. I'm not happy. You see this, you're womanizing. I'm not happy. You see this, you're going out late and coming back the next day. I am not happy. It's causing me sleepless night. You see this going away 2 days and you'll be remaining communicado. I'm not happy. And so you're telling the person, you've told the person the first time, the second time, the third time, there are no changes. You know that they're not serious. They want to kill you. So you run for your life. The reason being that if something happens to you, a man that did not care for you when you were alive, he will not be bothered when you are gone. He will make himself the chief mourner to get public sympathy. Within 2 months, he will replace you. And that shall not be our portion in the mighty name of Jesus. So you come first. Your comfort and your sanity and your health comes first. Address it. Stop saying, what will people say? Oh, my friends will laugh at me. They will say I'm normal. And you see, society is not helping in any way. They just label people. It is better to be alive than to be in a toxic relationship. Because dead people don't get married. And there's no marriage in heaven. So when a man cuts short the life of a woman, so you've not fulfilled your destiny here on earth, you may make heaven, no, but the person has cut short your destiny. And again, you being alive, there are so many lives that you are supposed to have impacted positively. So you cut your life short because of while of a man. So every other person that you're supposed to help, your friends that you're supposed to help, your community that you're supposed to help, your family members that you're supposed to help, you cut your life short because of one single man. That his own mother carried him for a period of 9 months, just like you. He doesn't have 2 heads. And it's making life unbearable for you. And then you're sitting down there because you want to be in a relationship. And you're saying, what will people say? What will my friends say? My friends will laugh at me. How many of the friends who they put inside the grave when the person dies? Nobody's going to come in there to put themselves inside the grave. If a person dies, the person dies alone. So that is the self-care. Be able to say enough is enough. Be able to set boundaries. Enough is enough. It's either you seek help or please. You can even start it off by a temporary break. Say, you know what, let's give ourselves a break. Let's think about this relationship, reassess things, review for the next 6 months. Then, of course, the man will know that you are serious. And then in moving forward, if he wants to change, let him change. So that's the self-help we're talking about. Again, it takes a lot of self-confidence to be able to do that. A lot of times we are not taught these things in growing up. A lot of us as women, nobody taught us about self-confidence. Nobody taught us about self-love. The self-love, inner self-love, that's valuing yourself. If you value yourself, you won't allow anybody to hurt you. And this includes even friends also. You are friends with somebody and every time they're taking from you. Taking money from you, taking your time, taking your emotion. They always take from you. But then you never get anything in return. Not even one good advice. When you have a need and you call them, that's when you say, oh, you know what, I'm feeling sleepy, I'll call you tomorrow. And when you say, please escort me somewhere, so you know what, let me check my diary, I have another appointment. They are never there for you. So when you begin to watch such friends, that's not friendship. There are some friends, the only time they are friends is when it's time for you to sit down and to drink and just chat away. They will never advise you on anything positive. They will never see a good business to say, will you be interested in this business? Or there's a job somewhere, you need to apply. People are applying now, you need to apply. Or you see, there's a guy that obviously I have a cousin or a friend who wants to get married, who is looking for a wife. Let me kind of connect you people. They will never sow any good seed into your life. It's always taken from you. So when you see that kind of friendship, self-love, you draw the boundaries. You set a boundary. So you love yourself. You value yourself. You set a boundary. You know that the friendship, the person is using you. The reason being that if you just keep tagging along because you want to belong to the Joneses, you just want to be a part of that group, one day something will happen. You realize that, oh, this person is really not my friend. Maybe something bad, something will happen and you need their support. You need them to be there. There will be nowhere to be found. You will now say, this person has never been my friend. And then you start remembering, I've always been the one sowing into this person's life. You can call a person your friend, but that person that you call a friend may have their own friend. They may not even see you as a friend. They may not see you as a friend, but you are there saying, oh, this person is my best friend, my best friend. Try to ask yourself, that person, am I a friend to that person? Or the person has their own friend? Very, very important. So this is the self-love we're talking about. The relationship we keep with friends and the way we're able to manage the relationship regarding our self-worth, our self-confidence, and the way we value ourselves, it can replicate itself even in our relationships with our spouses. The way we overlook things with friends, it can replicate itself when we get married or even when we're already married. So we allow ourselves to be taken for granted. We allow ourselves to be exploited. So we got to be careful. So that's the self-help, self-care we're talking about. It's nothing to do with selfishness. It's just taking care of yourself, taking care of your health, anything that affects your health, anything that gives you sleepless nights, anything that causes you pain, that causes you hurt, that makes you to cry silent tears. Anybody that makes you cry silent tears, that causes you anxiety, that is not there to support you. Maybe you have an issue, you want to talk, and anytime you want to talk to the person says, oh, you know what, I'm feeling sleepy, don't worry, I'll call you later or something. It's like they're not interested in things that affect you. They cannot meet your need. So you need to, once you notice those things, you know that the person doesn't care enough. You don't need to completely cut off from the person to say, oh, you know what, I'm done with you, just go. But you just set a boundary to know that you know that this person doesn't have my interest at heart. Then you apply wisdom. You apply wisdom. So in rounding up, when people show you who they are, believe them. Stop making excuses on their behalf. Stop saying, oh, the guy is nice. He's really nice. It's just that's part of him. You know, if not, it would have really been nice. You are making excuses. So you're making excuses. Oh, his mom loves me. His sister loves me. But, you know, I don't know why. Oh, they'll talk to him. His mother is really annoying the way he's treating me. The mother says she will talk to him. The mother is not the one that's going to marry you. The sisters or the brothers, they're not the ones that are going to marry you. Or you're not going to live with them. It's the guy. He's the one. The mother cannot marry a wife for him. Not in this 21st century. Stop making excuses on behalf of people who are hurting you, who are causing you harm. It will affect your health, your physical health and your mental health. Gradually, it keeps building. It has killed a lot of women. It has sent them to their early grave. You need to be alive. You only have one life to live. Very, very important. Don't make excuses. So when people show you who they are, the first time you may say, oh, what's wrong? What's this? Then you keep an eye. So by the time they repeat it, the second time the third time, you know that it's not a coincidence. It's not a mistake. That is who they are. That is how much they value you. That is how much they respect and honor you. So believe them. You can call it to their attention. If they don't want to change, you know that the relationship is not important to them. And then you set boundaries. You say, sorry, I can't help you. I can't be on this life's journey with you. You're not worthy of my space. You're not worthy of my time. So you let them go. So in rounding up, as I will always say, when God places people in our lives, be it our husbands, be it our wives, be it our friends, be it our siblings, our neighbors, our work colleagues, when God places people in our lives, we got our children. We are not, sometimes as parents, we think that we're our children. We are Lord over them. We own them because we brought them into this world. So we abuse them physically. You see that? The physical abuse. And then we use the Bible to back up. We say, oh, the Bible says that spare the rod and spoil the child. There is nowhere in the Bible where it was actually exemplified, where I saw any prophet hitting their child with a rod or with a belt or killing, nowhere. And yet we use the Bible to say, spare the rod and spoil. And so we are beating these children, we're using belt, we're dragging them up the stairways, we're calling them names. A lot of children, they've been battered and beaten and turned into pulp, and there's so much bitterness and anger on the inside of them, and they are boiling, and they grow, they become adults, And then they get married to their own wives and their own husbands. And because this is what we have actually modeled to them. We have told them that violence is the best way to resolve conflict. So by beating up that child, we're saying to that child, whenever somebody wrongs you, beat them. Whenever somebody does something that you are not pleased with, hit the person. That's because as parents, that's what we are modeling to our children. And yes, we're complaining about domestic violence. And yet we're trying to find out how to break the cycle of violence. Do you know one of the reasons why the cycle of violence is yet to be broken? It's because there's still violence going on in our homes. We're still promoting violence, directly or indirectly. Because these children that we keep battering and beating and calling names, sometimes we call our children unprintable names. This is what I used to say to myself. Even if I'm dead, anybody calls my children names, I will rise up from the grave and strike that person. How dare you call my children names? So some people, they bring a child to this world, they call them all kinds of unprintable names. Goat, fool, stupid, just like your father, mumu, all kinds of unprintable names. And the child is believing you because you are their first role model. So for each time you're calling a child goat, fool, mumu, stupid, the child is believing you. And yet we're complaining about violence. So the child now runs into the streets and joins this gang, and the gangs, they're saying to him for the first time, he's hearing something good, is being accepted by that gang. So for the first time, because the parents never accepted that child. So he runs into the streets, and the gangs, for the first time, they're making him feel hype. They're saying to him, pour acid on that person and we'll promote you. Go and be the hitman and you'll be our leader. So these people have accepted me. So for him to be accepted more, he begins to become violent. So that anger that has been boiling on the inside of that child is pouring it out. That's why you see the children 9 years, 10 years, 12 years. A couple of years ago, I read a story of a young guy. That boy was about 11 here in the UK. He deceived his classmate after school, brought the classmate home. About young, I don't think that boy is even up to 11. I think about 9 or 10 years. He butchered his classmate in his parents, because he was living with his mom. Beat that classmate, beat him into a pub, wrapped the boy with the duvet, pulled the boy's corpse down from the stairway downstairs, pulled him to the woods, and then buried the boy in a shallow grave. And 11 years, I don't think that boy was up to 11 years. I was thinking, who raised such a child? What could have happened? What went wrong? When there are some adults who can't even kill chicken, even when they see cockroach, they are running. A child of 11 years killed his own classmate alone in the house, pulled that corpse, was not scared, cleaned up all the blood, buried that boy in the shallow grave, came back home, took a shower, prepared toast for himself, toast on beans, baked beans, ate, and went to bed. His mom came back, obviously, because that was the routine, felt he was sleeping and obviously went to bed herself, never suspected anything. An 11-year-old child. How did that boy come to that point in life? Violence. Violence in the home. See, these children, they don't learn violence at school. The school only, their friends at school only help to kind of, shoot it out, to give them more confidence, because all the violence is from the home. It's from the home. So when you see a man who is a perpetrator of domestic violence, it's from the home. Check out his history. You see a woman who is violent, check out her history. You see a woman who has an attitude towards money, check out her history. When she says, oh no, I can't give my 10p to a man. I must take everything from a man. Check out her history. So everything is from the home. We got to be careful the way we rate the seed we sow into the lives of our children. There are some fathers and some stepfathers. A child is placed in your care and you abuse that child sexually. You have no right. How dare you? You abuse the child sexually and then you destroy the destiny of a child that God has put in your care. The law is unto you. And there are some women, they know that these things, their husbands are doing it. Their new husband is sexually abusing their daughters from their previous relationship. They cover it up because they don't want to lose that man. The law is unto you. So these are the atrocities we commit in the lives of children. And yet we're complaining about violence. The violence, the children are learning it from the home. It's a pattern. So when a child is watching the father beating up the mother always, beating up the child always, that's the pattern. So when they grow up, they become abusers. So we got to be careful the seed we sow. If we want to break that cycle of violence, we must start it from the homes. It's not from the school. It's from the homes. We must teach our children that violence is not the best way of resolving conflict. Effective communication is the best way of resolving conflict. You don't have to use violence. You don't have to hit. You don't have to slap. You don't have to be verbally abusive. Let's begin to teach our children about acceptance, about self-control, about discipline. Very, very important. So when God places people in our lives, we got to be careful. We mustn't cause them tears. We mustn't cause them early death. We mustn't be a reason why they now become very ill, either mentally or physically. We got to be careful. I believe strongly that judgment will start from every home. So God is going to now start asking us, what did you do with that child that I gave to you? What did you do with that husband that I gave to you? What did you do with that wife that I gave to you? What did you do with that friend that I gave to you? God will first of all ask us before he will now go to the wider judgment of other things. Because these are the people that have been put into our life, not by coincidence. There's a reason why God plants people in our lives. So please, if we cannot make people's life better when God put them into, can we just please leave them alone? Can we leave them alone? If you know you are going to marry a woman and you're not going to take care of her, she will now become your punching bag. Can you please leave her alone? Leave her alone. Don't destroy her life. Don't make her start chasing you with the phone, asking, where are you? When are you coming back? Where are you? 2 days, a woman has not seen you. Some of them now, they've not progressed. They've started insulting their parents-in-law. But when you went to marry that woman, you were prostrating, dobalaying, and prostrating. Any money they ask you to be, you want to marry their daughter, and then they give the daughter to you, now start insulting the parents. How dare you? So when God places people in our lives, we've got to be careful. The seed we sow in their lives, because we're going to be accountable to God. The seed we sow in the lives of our wives, in the lives of our husbands, in the lives of our friends, the lives of our innocent children. So for each time we now have a child who has now grown into an adult, that now becomes a perpetrator of abuse, and then we are watching, we are saying, oh, he's beating up his wife, oh, he's beating up his wife. We are the cause of that. We are the cause. We're the reason why that son, that boy is beating up his wife, because we beat him up blue and black when he was a child, because that's what we taught him. That's what we taught him. So we are the cause, we're the reason why that wife now is suffering in the hands of our sons. We are the cause. So can we please help to break the cycle of domestic violence? Because it starts from the home. The rod of discipline that the Bible is talking about is it's not violence. God is not a violent God. It's not violence. Can we please stop misquoting and misrepresenting the scriptures? We always use the scriptures when it suits us. The other parts of the 10 commandments, we overlook every other thing. But when it's the one that suits us, we want to hold on to it. The Bible says, spare the rod and spoil the child. How many other parts of the Bible do we actually abide with? Spare the rod and spoil the child. The Bible cannot promote violence. God is not a God of violence. The rod is the literal use of the word rod is a rod of correction. You realize that in the Bible, a lot of time they speak in parables. It's a rod of correction. The Bible did not say go and carry rod or carry belt or carry hammer and kill your child. It's a rod of correction. It's a correct a child, discipline a child. It is okay to discipline the child, but please minimize the violence. Because if you continuously use violence on the child will become an abuser when they grow up. A lot of these pedophiles, a lot of these people who sexually abuse people uncontrollably, you see them, they're in and out of prison. They're abusers. They sexually abuse people. Go to their history. They were victims of abuse. When it's either they were abused by their fathers, they were abused by their stepfathers. Some of them were abused by their mothers. Some of them were abused by strangers who their parents actually brought to their homes. And they were abused by these strangers, and they never had the audacity or the boldness to speak to either their mom and dad to say, you see, this person you brought into the home actually abused me. Because there's no communication between parents and children. There's no trust. So when a child is talking to a father, they say, oh, keep quiet, shut up. Don't say that. Stop shutting your children down. Allow them to own their own voice. So when a child is telling you something, listen. There are some, they crawl into your homes as guests. They eat your food. They drink your drink. You give them a comfortable room. At night, when the lights are off, they sneak into the rooms of your children and they abuse them. And they threaten the children never to speak up. If you speak up, I'm going to kill you. I'll kill your dad. I'll kill your mom. So the children keep this thing as secret all their life. And that is affecting a lot of women in their matrimonial homes. So they see sex as a thing of pain, because of the abuse they have suffered in their own parents' home, that they are not actually able to divulge this secret to their own parents, because there's no relationship between mother and daughter. There's no relationship between father. So there's no communication. Stop taking people into your homes. Be careful. If rather than take people into your homes, make that sow into their life. Let them get a hotel. You pay for the hotel. Let them stay there. In the daytime, you prepare them lunch or breakfast or whatever. When they finish eating, let them go back to their hotel rooms. A lot of times they crawl into the homes, into the rooms of the children, and they abuse them. Be careful. When God places people in our lives, we got to be careful. The seed we sow into their lives. So thank you very much for watching. Sandra, thank you. Thank you for always watching, always tuning in. Thank you. I appreciate it. I got to go now. It's midnight here in the UK. I got to run along now. I'm not going to work tomorrow anyway, so I have enough time to sleep. Thank you. If you've been blessed by this broadcast, please share with your friends. And I pray that God gives us enough wisdom to do the right thing at all times. Thank you very much. God bless you. Bye-bye.